Today on the 1012 podcast, myself and Chase A. Kiddy welcome Douglas Farmer of Covers.com to make picks for every Big 12 game that doesn't include an FCS opponent. That means both Friday night games, our second Big 12 matchup between Houston and Colorado, a non-conference Big 12 matchup between Arizona and Kansas State, two Big 12 teams on the road at G5s, with Iowa State at Arkansas State and Wyoming at Utah, and every other game on the schedule. An absolutely fun show coming up on the 1012.
Witness the fight the boxing world has been waiting for on Netflix. Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford face off for the first time in their legendary careers for the Super Middleweight Championship in Las Vegas. The winner will walk away the greatest of their era. Watch Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford Saturday, September 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live only on Netflix.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner, by knockout, is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Welcome to the 1012 Picks Pod. Each week, we come together and make picks for every non-FCS Big 12 game on the schedule. I am, as always, joined by my good friend Chase A. Kiddy from BetMGM. Chase, welcome back, friend.
Phillip, it's good to see you. You're on camera tonight, which is fun. I think this is the third or fourth week in a row where I've had like a giant marketing meeting for BetMGM. A couple hours before we record here. It's been a weird vibe. I need a non-meeting heavy Wednesday here before we record. It's getting a little strange.
It's definitely a weird vibe Wednesday. It's not, and I'm trying to shake that off. I'm really trying to shake that off. Also, marketing meetings, and you've name dropped 1012, right? You're like, hey, by the way, I know where we should be putting some marketing dollars.
This, I don't think this was the meeting for that. I think there were 700 people on this call.
Okay, listen.
So
any opportunity
would have learned.
Yeah. Any opportunity
True.
is a good opportunity.
The other 694 already know.
Okay, good. Okay, well, just keep hitting that button over and over again. Also, look, we always have a guest join us here on the show, and so joining us today, a second straight guest from Covers. In fact, someone who co-hosts a show with last week's guest, a guy I'm very excited to have on because this is going to be fun. Douglas Farmer from Covers.com. Douglas, welcome back.
I appreciate you bringing me in. You tease me that way. I have to ask, how did Andrew Cayley's picks do last week? What is the bar that I have to embarrass? He did very well on our Wednesday afternoon and Saturday morning shows. He had a very good week, but I need to do better than him. How did he fare?
Can I take a guess right off rip here?
Yeah.
Douglas is a smart guy. Douglas is asking a question he already knows the answer
I do
to.
not. I do not know the answer.
I'll tell you what,
Okay.
that is a great tease, and we're going to get to last week's results coming up here in just a minute. But first, Douglas, this season we're just a little leaning into the betting a little bit more this season, a little away from just covering Big 12 games. So I'm curious. You've been doing this for a while. You cover quite a few different sports. What we use the word philosophy loosely, but what's kind of your philosophy to betting? When you put your bets down, when you put your money in, what's your thought process?
We are obviously in let's call it a new era of sports gambling in the United States. More and more people are doing so. I try to just be smarter about my bets. I want to place a bet. So when I'm talking to the guy at the bar next to me, I'm able to teach him something about the game via my bet. The reason I bet this was because, yes, we all like making money. More than making money, I like being proven right. More than being proven right, I like looking smart. So for me, it is very much, I want to further his understanding of the college football game or the Timberwolves game or the Lynx game. And then it can be passed on from there. That's where I so enjoy stats like EPA, that once you explain it to somebody, they actually understand it. And now they've just graduated from 100 level understanding to a 200 level understanding. I always try to frame it that way, and it helps to frame it that way because then you also point out for many people, many people, the people who pay my paycheck, it is a recreational activity. So I say it about the bar, and I'm like, yeah, and don't bet more than your bar tab would be. For some people, it's don't bet more than a beer would be. And it's extremely important to approach it with that kind of responsibility. And if you frame the betting apart from the making money and instead about learning about the game, you further the responsible gambling that is so important as we have these bricks in our pockets that can lose us everything.
It's a good philosophy. Listen, it should be fun. I know some take it super seriously, and look, I know some who are really good at it and make a living off of it, and props to you. Like anything in life, I know we all think things look easy. 99 times out of 100, they don't. They're not. Looks hard to say.
Let me say one more thing here on my neck. There's two numbers on one of these pendants. Do you know who the losingest pitcher in baseball history is? Either of you?
Couldn't tell you.
You know who the winningest pitcher in baseball history is, I assume. Everybody knows Cy Young won more games than anybody else. Cy Young is also the losingest pitcher in baseball history. You have to take that approach when you're gambling. Yes, 511 wins is very impressive. He lost 315 times.
Yeah. That's something I tell people a lot when they ask me what are the most fundamental skills to betting? You have to be so good at losing.
Yes, excellent way to put it.
It's such a foundational skill. The greatest gambler in the world is going to be wrong like 2 out of 5 times. I mean, you got to be so good at losing.
That's an excellent way to put it.
That's good. That's good advice. Because you don't want to feel like you have to overdo to make up for the losses. You don't want to overreact to a bad week. You want to have a way you're going to do things. You got to stick with that plan as best as you can, because look, that's how the spiral starts. Is this one didn't work. I gotta try and cover up for that one. Well, now that one didn't work, and I gotta cover up. It's okay to lose. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. You can use it as motivation, but it's okay to lose. I feel like I'm talking to my kids right now after a match that doesn't count and we don't keep score.
Hopefully they're not gambling already.
I had to pull my eldest away from the tables this week, and it was a little bit tough. A little bit tough. She was having by the tables, I mean the tables that they color on, because listen.
Yeah, as I say, I don't want to call you a bad father, but I'm pretty sure your children are not double digits yet.
I had some follow-up questions.
If you are interested in betting but don't want to have to lose any real money, and the losing doesn't hurt quite as much, I suggest you download the BattleBets app. Now, sponsors here in the Ten12 podcast love this app. This is real betting with fake money. And so if you've always wanted to try it out, you've always thought betting sounds like fun, and you don't want to actually have to put any real money down and just want to play and have a good time, this app is awesome. Listen, they don't have it for Android devices yet. They're working on it. This is the first year of the app. They have taken great response to all suggestions and changes. And so, look, this thing is just going to keep getting better and better. But it is a ton of fun. Love everybody who has joined the 1012 Pod Fans League. We actually just got another one 8 hours ago. So, listen, it's okay if you missed weeks 1 and week 2. You can still hop in and make picks for this week. You're going to get like $3,000. I'm using air quotes because it's not real. You can pick all sorts of FBS versus FBS games on Saturday. How do you feel? You got to make some player props. You got to make some over-unders. You got to make some straight money line bets. I got all my stuff in. I think my most money, or my biggest bet I have, is a bunch of money on Devin Dampier to score the first touchdown for Utah. Why? It's the vibes. That's the vibes I've got for this week. So Download the app. The link is in the show notes. We post it all over social media. Join our league. Set up your own when you're filling out. Like, hey, I heard about this from the 1012 podcast. Download. Douglas, I don't remember if I sent this to you or not. You know, we got to get you in here.
I believe you did, and I had to beg off. I have the idea of getting that deep into Big 12 player props on top of, I mean, you've seen the Survivor Leagues I'm running, and that's like the last thing I can get to in a week. I could not add one more item to the list. That's what would have broken me. I barely hold it together, but if we get to October 1st and I'm still eating healthy, it's a win. This would have damned me by September 15th.
I do sympathize with that. I didn't even get to my picks last week.
See, and I don't want to set myself up for that kind of failure.
Listen, we got prizes for weekly winners. Don't worry. You know, it's okay to win the week and not win the whole thing. You can still have fun. I'm in 3 leagues now. There's actually a Battle Bets community league that I hopped into, so I'm kind of fun there. So listen, again, Battle Bets app, go check it out. Download it, set a league up for you and your friends. Have a lot of fun. I'm very much enjoying doing this, and I look forward to doing it moving forward. Okay, Douglas, you asked, so I'm going to tell you because we're going to talk about what happened last week. Chase, you and I, chef's kiss, incredible weeks. I went 15-10. You went 14-11 and 1 No, yeah, sorry.
I don't think
I'm
you
looking
went
at
15
overall.
and 10
I know.
week.
Hold on.
I
I
wasn't
told you
gonna
this is an
say
off
it.
day. It was an off day. It's been a really off day. Okay.
How many teams do you think are in this conference?
Well, hey, the name of this podcast brings that question to surface.
10-12-25 podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Let me rephrase. I went 10-3. You went 9-3-1. We still had
There you go.
really good weeks last week. Again, it's a weird Wednesday. To answer your question, we'll start with our guest recap, Douglas. Andrew went 5-8 last week. Let's run it down for Andrew. Andrew hit on Baylor plus 2.5. Guess what, folks? The consensus was not cursed last week. We all picked Baylor plus 2.5. We all got that one. Hit on Iowa State minus 2.5. Hit on Delaware plus 24.5. Hit on the OSU under 6.5 points in the first half. Hit on BYU minus 20.5, which is another one that we all picked. So we went 2-0 on consensus picks last week. Perhaps the curse is broken. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. This is where the under 58.5. I know. Under 58.5 in Texas Tech, Kent State. Kansas plus 6.5. Cincinnati minus 21.5. Over 60.5 in West Virginia, Ohio. Kansas State minus 17. Rice plus 14. Arizona State minus 6.5. And his Duke at plus 128 did not work out. So 5-8 last week for our good friend Andrew. Guests are 8-13 on the season so far. So Douglas, that's what you've got to try and match up with.
I will strive not to match your 10-3, but to outdo Andrew Cayley's 5-8. Now, folks, he had an excellent week. We're live every week at 1 Eastern on Wednesdays and 10 Eastern on Saturdays. And I think he made 12 units last week. He had an excellent week. It brings me a little bit of dignity to know that there was one area in this world where he fell short.
Listen, we pick every Big 12
I tuned
game.
into the Twitter stream today, actually, and why was our boy wearing a Blue Jays merch? Where did he get that from?
He lives in Toronto.
I don't think I knew that.
Covers.com is based in Canada.
Well, I knew that. I didn't know he was in Toronto.
He's outside of Toronto, but yes, that would be the reason. He's a huge Blue Jays fan.
All right. AL East enemy. I will write that in my scouting report.
We all have flaws. He has more than most. You can clip that.
I might have to do that. Okay, Chase, you went 9-3-1 last week. Hit on Baylor plus 2.5, under 41.5 in Iowa State, Iowa. Bowling Green plus 21.5, Delaware plus 24.5, under 13.5 game total for Oklahoma State. Ohio plus 3.5. You called the upset, and it happened. Mississippi State plus 6.5. BYU minus 20.5. Again, consensus worked. And your Kentucky plus 10.5 worked out. The misses were the under 51.5 in Kansas, Missouri. Kansas State minus 17, and the under 39.5 in Houston at Rice. And then a push with Texas Tech minus 48. 9-3-1 brings you to 13-11-1, which was the number I gave out the first time.
Nonsense on the Texas Tech too. I mean, just they were up 55-0, I think, and I should have had it in the bag. They let them back in it.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I mean, I could sit here and complain about my Oklahoma State live line of 52.5, and then 2 pick sixes cost me. I could sit here and complain about that, but no, this is why you have to be good.
Oh my God!
Losing.
I think Minnesota played a game last week that was shortened by weather. The live total, I can see the stadium.
I can see the stadium out my window. They ended the game after 53 minutes and 45 seconds.
54 minutes, no action.
They were winning 66-0, and I've heard I believe at least one book followed through on bets, but for the most part, obviously no action, just short of 55 minutes. I had friends in Minnesota confused by this. Why would they ever shorten a game? Well, guys, it's barely a game. It's Northwestern State.
If it's 66-0 and they're going to have to clear the field for a lightning delay.
They had 9 touchdowns by 9 separate players. That is a wrinkle of domination that we don't usually see. Outdone, of course, by Oregon having 10 touchdowns by 9 different players against the aforementioned losing Mike Gundy's.
God.
Yes.
I'll tell you, if I was an Oklahoma State fan, I think I would just leave the stream.
I mean, there's a reason I have an open bottle right now.
I would take my face off the stream if I was an Oklahoma State fan.
Yes. Bless you, Four Roses. Okay, and I went 10-3 last week. Of course, hit on Baylor plus 2.5, Iowa State minus 2.5, over 58.5 in Texas Tech, Kent State, over 46 in Cincinnati Bowling Green, under 50.5 in Colorado, Delaware, under 46.5 in Kansas State Army, Houston minus 13.5, thanks to that beautiful fourth quarter. Mississippi State plus 6.5, BYU minus 20.5, and my Troy plus 33.5 hit comfortably. The misses were Kansas plus 6.5, under 57.5 in OSU Oregon, and the over 60.5 in West Virginia at Ohio brings me to 15-10 on the season. So fantastic week. Let's hope that I don't completely screw it up now, which I'm sure I will. That's how these things typically go. So, fellas, you guys ready to make some picks for the week?
Let's go.
Only one way to find out.
That's the spirit. That's what I thank you. Douglas. Truer words were never spoken. All right. We do this in chronological order every week, so that means we are going to start with our 2 Friday night games. First up, Friday night, 6:30 p.m. God's time, Central Time, ESPN. We've got our second Big 12 conference game of the season. Yes, second, because remember, Iowa State, Kansas State was a conference game all the way back in week 0 in Ireland. Don't let it confuse you. Houston hosting Colorado. Whew, this is going to be a fun game. I think this is a fun game. I think this has potential to be an interesting game. At the moment, Houston about a 4.5 point favorite total in this one. 44.5, 45, depending upon on what your mood is there. Chase, I'm going to let you go first on this one, sir. What would you like?
Yeah, it's tough with the quarterback news in Colorado, which I wrote a little bit about Sunday night. You are projecting what you think Colorado is going to be with a semi-hypothetical upgraded quarterback. So that makes this a little difficult. I'm still going to roll with Houston minus the 4.5. Just because I feel like the unit I am most confident in is the Houston defense. I think they're going to win the game. And so I won't get too cute with the points. I'll just pick the team that I think is going to win at a reasonable number. And that's going to be Houston minus 4.5.
Okay. I like it. Let's run through the numbers real quick. Pretty much all on Houston except one. SP Plus has Houston minus 3.3. Tishu has Houston minus 3.5. Beta's got Colorado minus 10.99. FEI has Colorado minus 0.3. Parker's got Houston minus 6.6. And Kelly Ford, K Ford Ratings is Houston has 58% chance to win. So like I said, most of the numbers are on Houston. Through two games, Colorado is 120th in defensive success, 125th against the run. Colorado has allowed 5 sacks, 17 tackles for a loss this season. Offensive line, not great. And they've decided to go with their third string quarterback after his performance last week against Delaware, which is an interesting move considering the other two guys that you have on your roster at quarterback. Houston is not giving up big plays or chunk plays. They're giving up 3 yards per play, which is fantastic. I think Houston is the right side here. I think the under is absolutely probably right side here. But since we introduced them last week, I have a different direction I want to go. I am taking the Colorado team total under 20.5 because I think Houston's defense is for real. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game anyway. I think Houston should win. I think that the under should hit for the whole game. But at 20.5, I like that as an under for Colorado. Douglas.
I do want to ask for a clarification, Phillip. When you introduced this game, I think you called it, you used the F word, a fun game. Will you define the word fun for me real quickly?
Fun is college football on a Friday night.
Okay, you know what? That is an accurate description of what this game will be. I was worried you were kind of losing your mind a little bit, but that I cannot argue with. I did catch you say something encouraging about the Colorado defense being terrible against the run. The reason that is encouraging is my biggest worry about Houston this season is Willie Fritz is so committed to the run. He will not back down even when he doesn't have the offensive line or the running backs for it. Colorado is going to give a little bit more in that respect than usual, which is just going to lead to Houston eating up time. Like you said, Houston doesn't give it up big chunk plays. I really like the under 45 here, which is why I wanted to clarify what you meant by the word fun. I see this being an ugly football game with 2 lackluster offensive lines, and that's why I'm not taking the points, because this could end up 17-13, and then the hook bites you. I do not believe in either offensive line one bit, and that's my driving point. I believe in Colorado's more than I did last year. I think my line last year was always, Dion brought in his Louis, but his offensive line is still wet grocery bags. Well, they're not wet anymore, but they're still paper grocery bags.
Do they handles or no handles?
You know, it depends on the position.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Fun fact, these two teams have only met one time prior. All the way back in 1971, Colorado got the win. So not a first ever meeting, but not too far off on this one. All right, I said 2 games on Friday night. There is a second game. Arizona versus Kansas State. This is, reminder, not a conference game. This is a non-conference game between Arizona and Kansas State. Second half of a home and home that started last year because this had been scheduled for a while and they decided not to cancel it after Arizona was announced to join the conference because they didn't want, neither team wanted to have to find a replacement at the last second, which means you would have played, who knows who at that time. It's just hard to do because, the way things go. At the moment for this one, Kansas State is a 1 to a 1.5 point favorite. Woo, that is interesting. Total in this one is 54 to 54.5. I'm up first. I'll hold the numbers for a minute because this has gone from Kansas State as a favorite to Arizona favorite back to Kansas State as a favorite. Like this line has shifted back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I'll ask you both your thoughts. I cannot come up with a reason from an on-the-field standpoint, any sort of news or injury stuff, as to why this has shifted back and forth as much as it has.
It's not shifting by much. The spread is 1 or 1.5, so we're crossing 0. Yeah, if you do literal math, it's moving by 3 points, but in all reality, it's moving by a point. This game is the biggest I don't bleep and know you're going to get out of me. And so, I'm not going to try to speculate on why it's moving so much. It's not moving all that far, and maybe more people are like me than I realized, and they don't bleep and know either.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you a little sportsbook perspective on this from a framing angle. really what's the only movement that's happened, I think, in the last 48 hours is the 10-cent movement back and forth between the minus 105 and the minus 115. And one team is minus 105, and then the other team's minus 105. So when you have a game like that, that's basically a minus 110 split, with slight 5-cent shading one way or the other, really when you're offering a point spread, you're pulling an alt out of the catalog of bets available for that game, and you are framing it in the 6-pack. So when you see it flipping back and forth like that, that's basically what you're saying. It's not necessarily the point spread moving.
It's a pick'em.
Okay.
It's a pick'em.
Yeah, it's a pick'em.
Every
Right now
radio host in Kansas
115.
and every radio host in Arizona is delighted that they can say the Wildcats will win, and what they should be saying is the Wildcats will lose.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a second because I got to run through the rest of these
Glass
notes.
half empty.
I'm not wrong.
Avery Johnson has 7 turnover-worthy plays through 3 games this season. That is not
good?
ideal. No, I think that's bad. I think that's bad. There's been some stuff written about how Kansas State seems to not want to run Avery Johnson, which we have seen, even though that's been a big part of his game, is to be a dual threat. And I have been told that maybe Avery Johnson is the reason that Avery Johnson is not running, because he doesn't want to run quite as much. So we really just can't expect much from Avery Johnson's legs, which was a big part of what made him such an interesting quarterback moving forward, was the dual threat aspect of his game. And now he's starting to seem a lot less dual and a lot more mono, and even that doesn't seem to be a threat if you've got 7 turnover-worthy plays through 3 games to start the season. Offensive line has obviously struggled, which is not something we're used to seeing for Kansas State. Dylan Edwards, their starting running back, might play in this game. Considering Kansas State's struggled to run the ball with any consistency, that would be good news, but given the way the offensive line has struggled, I'm not sure I would want him out there unless he's pretty close to 100%, so we'll see what happens there. One other stat that's really interesting. Since 2011, games in which a team who is 0-3 against the spread is facing a team who is 2-0 against the spread, in this way it plays Kansas State versus Arizona. In games 3 through 5, the winless against the spread team is hitting 55%. Now, it's a hard thing to, basically in this situation, you're saying Kansas State's going to win outright because the number is so low, and I think in a lot of these situations, it's probably a bigger number. All of this is to say, I love you, Tishu, and I love you, FEI, and I love you, Beta Rank, and I love you, Parker, because all of them are leaning towards Kansas State, but I'm going to ride with SP Plus, and I'm going to ride with Kelly Ford because I think Arizona's winning this game flat out. And so the fact that I get, after all that, Kansas State currently, I got a 1.5 as a 1.5 point favorite. Give me Arizona at home, wearing throwback helmets in the desert to straight up pull the upset. Arizona plus 1.5. Douglas.
Very uncomfortable with this. You're asking me to pick a Wildcat, and in my life, that is not something that ends well for me. I'm going to defer to who I think is the better coach. And I'm going to take Kansas State by a point, neg 110, and just hope that for the first time, this works out for me.
So let me make sure you're picking the Wildcats to win.
And while I'm at it, I'm picking them to lose too.
Okay, got it. Good to know. Chase.
The only thing that worries me, and I'm picking Arizona. Let's not bury the lead. Give me the money line for Arizona.
This is how I win.
But I am a little concerned that everybody I have ever heard talk about this game is on the Arizona side of it. At the end of the day, I'm not picking Kansas State. I need Kansas State to show me that they don't. I mean, forget being good. Let's take that off the table. Show me you don't suck. Because it hasn't looked great through the first, and people are going to point to. I have seen people point to. Okay, well they were in the Iowa State game, and Iowa State's good, and they played them pretty tight, and then it was a nip tuck affair at the end. Okay, it was a week 0 rivalry game on a different continent, so that's going to be a tight game. I'm sorry, it's just what it's going to look like. I just need Kansas State to show me that they know what they're doing. And so far, everybody knows I have all the respect in the world for Chris Kleiman. I think he's a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, this team kind of doesn't look great. And if you're going to give me, as the road team, on a short week, a team that hasn't beaten an FBS team yet, like that's just the facts of what they are right now.
And barely beat an
So
FCS team.
Yeah, barely beat UND. So I'll take Arizona.
I think that's fine. The stats that keep coming out of that Kansas State Army game, the fact that Kansas State had 6 total drives for the game, held the ball for 3 minutes in the second half, is absolutely ridiculous. You know what they're going to do. Like, you knew what they were going to be. There's no like, oh, I didn't know what Army was going to throw at us. Nothing, because they don't throw. They run.
You know what time of possession stat is terrible when I consider cracking a Rick Pitino joke. Like, this is, it was painful.
Oh, man. Speaking of painful, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan. $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
All right, we are here for Saturday games. 4 teams in the Big 12 are idle this week. Oklahoma State, who desperately needs it. Not that it'll help. BYU, UCF, and Kansas, they'll all be back next week. 3 teams this week are facing FCS opponents. Baylor is hosting Samford. Not the Suns, just Samford. Cincinnati is facing Northwestern State. And TCU is playing Abilene Christian. So we will obviously not be picking those games. So we have to move all the way down to 2:30 for our first Big 12 game we're going to pick on Saturday. This one is on Fox between Texas Tech and Oregon State. Look, this is not going to be a good game, but I am mildly intrigued by this game. And I will explain why in a few minutes. At the moment, Texas Tech is a 23.5 point favorite. I wish I had a sound effect that was just like, ew. Total in this one, 61, 61.5.
Now have a sound effect.
Flavor. Yeah, that's Douglas, brother. Yeah. No, I already used that sound effect in our Instagram post showcasing TCU's Korean purple corn dog that they're debuting at the football stadium this weekend. And if you haven't seen it, just do TCU Korean corn dog and it will it looks like it looks like what my girls have after they eat some really sugary breakfast cereal. Okay, Douglas, you are up.
I'm not sure I want that in my search history there, Phillip. That sounds like something I don't want on the Google.
It's called incognito mode. Boy, we're really towing the lines. I crack a Rick Pitino joke. We mentioned incognito mode. We've mentioned Northwestern State 3 or 4 times in a Big 12 show. That's definitely a record. I do not know your podcast policy on swear words, so I will not use the exact quote from the Oregon State head coach. But did you see what he said at halftime on air, the live interview at halftime last week?
No, I did not.
Special teams, a bleeping joke, and they didn't catch the bleep on air. This is a problem for Oregon State. They're down their lead long snapper. You may have seen their 6-yard drop kick that was returned for a touchdown by Fresno State. These are the reasons I'm taking Texas Tech. Team total over 42.5. A short field or two can go a long way, turning a blowout into a massacre. And these special teams issues for Oregon State can create on their own, not even any help from Texas Tech's defense. These special teams issues could create a short field or two and really put Texas Tech up on the scoreboard for the second week in a row.
Okay, team total Texas Tech over 42.5. Chase.
I'm just going to lay the 23.5. I'm not going to think about it. That's my analysis. There's nothing behind it. until Texas Tech gives me a reason not to, I'm laying the number.
Hey, I that's not a bad deal. All right, I have notes because, like, at some point I have to have notes about Texas Tech. Here's a fun one. According to Bill Connolly's updated SP Plus for the top 766 teams, that beautiful, beautiful sicko, Oregon State is number 100 overall. That sounds terrible. I mean, it's not good, but out of 766, it's not the worst. Let's compare that to Texas Tech's first two opponents. Kent State is 190th. That's behind more FCS teams than I care to count. And
good for Kent State.
And 4 Division II teams. And they played
Top 200,
UAPB,
baby.
who is at 389th. So listen, everybody is above top 400. So I guess that's a positive for Texas Tech if you want to look for some positives when it comes to strength of schedule. So I think it is fair to say Oregon State is the best team that Texas Tech has faced so far this season at number 100 in SP+. Oregon State's 0-2, but I don't think that tells the whole story. If you look at Parker's Did We Really Get Beat That Bad graphics from the last 2 weeks, based on net success rates, Oregon State outplayed Cal and Fresno State, but they lost the turnover battle 2-0 to Cal. And then last week, outgained Fresno State by 210 yards, but lost the turnover battle 2-1. Had a disastrous fourth quarter that included a turnover on downs, a 4th and 14 from their own 37, a missed field goal, and a pick six. Oregon State is 104th.
I dare you to take the points, Phillip. I dare you to
Oregon
take
State is 104th in pass
if he
defense.
wants.
No, here's the thing. I think Oregon State will score some points. And so I'm going to, until it doesn't work, I'm going to take the over in this one. And it is at, what did I say it was? 61. 61. Yeah, I'm just taking the over 61. I love a good sicko total, and that one feels like one. So,
just to use that, you mentioned Parker's "Do We Really Get Beat That Bad" graph. That's effectively the special teams. So that graph is showcasing penalties, special teams, and turnovers, and that's Oregon State's problem. And that's not going to get fixed this week.
I don't think that's going to get fixed this season. I feel so bad for Oregon State. I really do. Like, they were so much fun, and it's not their fault. It's just not. It's not their fault. Geography be damned. Okay. I know Chase is just amped for this one. It's the Backyard Brawl. 2:30.
Not the word I would use.
ESPN, West Virginia, hosting their hated rival Pitt, lowercase p, always lowercase p. The series has not gone West Virginia's way since it returned. Pitt won last year and has won 2 of the 3 games of the series since it came back in 2022. I believe this is the last game in this 4-game series, but don't worry. We'll take a few years off, and then they'll be back for another 4-game series to be played in the Backyard Brawl, which is always a fun time. In this one right now, Pitt is a 7-point favorite. Total in this one is 57.5, pretty much consensus across the board. Chase, I believe you are up first, sir. What would you like?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take the over on the number of times the broadcast is going to show highlights from the 2007 game now that Rich Rod's back coaching the team.
How'd that game end? I don't remember.
Are there actual Vegas odds on that one?
You know what the shame, Douglas? The biggest shame of all is that right at the end of November in 2007, the Great War started, and we never got to play that game.
You know, if you want, Phillip can probably hand you that 4 roses to jog your memory.
We'll never know what happened.
Do you want to find a YouTube clip real quick? I can look it up. We can.
None exist. Don't bother searching.
Turn on incognito mode. You'll find it.
Some things shouldn't even be looked at in incognito mode. Okay, and that is one of them.
I feel like you're not through the grieving process.
Oh, look, man, it's 18 years later.
18. I feel like that would have been a lot of points in that game.
We're never going to be over it. Okay, I was watching I don't remember what game it was last weekend, but something happened in the game and the score flipped to 13-9, and I audibly shuddered. Okay. I've been making fun of Virginia Tech for 15 years, making 21-16 jokes from when JMU beat them in 2010. The entire inspiration for that whole bit, 15-year bit, was my own personal trauma from 3 years earlier when West Virginia lost the 100th Backyard Brawl.
Well, Phillip, we have at least cajoled him into acknowledging both the score and the result.
Yes.
So,
unfortunately,
bullying works.
Unfortunately.
Do you want to talk more about it, or you just want to make a pick?
Yeah, I think West Virginia was going to be offensively challenged to begin with before Jaheim White got hurt against Ohio. I want to say I am almost never the guy that says stuff is dirty. I'm just not the guy that walks around and says that play was dirty. That play was pretty dirty, unfortunately. So Jaheim White is going to miss the rest of the season, and West Virginia is not chock full of offensive playmakers. I think that's going to be a factor. It's the backyard brawl to begin with. It's going to be a low-scoring affair. I think this is a dead under. I would play alts. I would play the straight number. So let me see what it's at right now. But that's kind of the only 57.5. Yeah, I would play that every possible way you can get an under on. Get money down because that's the only way I'm interested in betting this game.
Sir, Bet Rivers has a 58.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I know you will. As you mentioned, Jaheim White is out for the season. So is second leading receiver Jaden Bray. Linebacker Reed Carrico is day to day. I think that's all the injuries. There's another running back on the roster who is a transfer who has not played yet, and I don't think is going to be ready to play. So there's like 3 different running backs. We'll see. West Virginia mustered 10 points against Ohio, if my recollection is correct.
It was an ugly game. Yeah, it was not great.
It was not great. I know it's a rivalry game. You're like, anything can happen in a rivalry game. I mean, this feels like one of those ones where it's like Pitt could win by a little or Pitt could win by a lot, and I feel like a lot's probably more likely. Do I see a 6.5 from ESPN Bet? I do. Are we taking those? Are we using ESPN Bet?
2007 too. Yeah, I mean, if you can bet it right now, then yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. Pitt minus 6.5. Lowercase p. Douglas?
Sometimes it's what somebody doesn't say that says the most. The most revelatory sentence in this entire show will be Chase saying that betting the under is the only way he is interested in betting this game. What he wasn't saying, but I clearly heard, Phillip, it sounds like you heard it too, is that he feels Pitt next 6.5 is the correct side. He's just not interested in betting that. I am also going to take Pitt next 6.5. I think Rich Rod has an experiment ahead of him, but he's not. That roster is not ready for it right now, as was made very clear last week against Ohio.
Look, can I just say?
No, we're moving on. Cut him off.
Go ahead.
I've been very clear-eyed all summer and into this year about how bad this West Virginia team is. So this is not delusion talking right now. This man has had 18 years to stew on a game that ruined his life.
This man, or are you talking about yourself?
I'm talking about Richard Rodriguez.
Is Richard Rodriguez in the room with you right now?
If this man doesn't have 37 plays custom drawn up from the last 18 years of scratching on bar napkins that he can't empty the bag into this game and vent frustrations from an entire third of his life. What is he even doing? I don't know. Maybe other people process trauma differently than me, but I would just be up at 2:00 in the morning every night for the last 2 decades. Like, if only I could coach this game again. This is the exact play that I would run.
Listen, it's not whether or not Rich Rod has the plays to beat Pitt. It's whether or not the players can actually execute the plays on the field to beat Pitt.
There's an argument to be made that maybe last week happened because West Virginia was already prepping for Pitt. Now, do I think that's what happened? No, but there's an argument to be made, and we want Chase to be able to cope for the next few days, so we're going to at least acknowledge that argument and give him some material to help him sleep at night.
I'm already on to Cincinnati over here, man. We're right. And the Kiddy family equivalent of on to Cincinnati right now is JMU's going to play Liberty in a week and a half, and I hope we beat the shit out of those people. So
All right.
There we go.
The first of two Big 12 at G6 games this weekend. First one up, Iowa State at Arkansas State on Saturday at 3 p.m. God's time on ESPN2. Again, like there's a lot of games that I'm like, man, it feels interesting. Not necessarily like good, but something to watch on Saturday. At the moment, the Cyclones are a 20.5 point road favorite over Arkansas State there in Jonesboro. Total is at 55.5. I think I'm up first. Okay. Interesting information that isn't going to matter a lick in this game, but it's something I want you to keep in mind once Big 12 play starts. Iowa State scored 4 touchdowns against Kansas State and Iowa this year in those 2 games. And the opposing team answered with a touchdown the very next drive. John Heacock, Iowa State defensive coordinator, addressed this during media time and said this is an area of improvement for the defense, stopping the opposing team the drive after the Cyclones offense scores. That is something they are paying attention to, says they're looking into why it keeps happening, and the team's analytics director is all over it right now. It's a 2-game sample size, it's 4 touchdowns, but it is something of interest given the 2 times they played a Power 4 opponent. They score a touchdown, the opposition immediately responds by also scoring a touchdown. So again, I don't think it's not gonna matter this week against Arkansas State, but it is something to keep an eye on when they start Big 12 play next weekend. So I wanted to put that one out there. Now,
they already started Big 12 play week 0 in Dublin when they beat Kansas State. Come on, Phillip.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Amateur.
All right. It's so hard to remember that was a Big 12 game because it was already like 3 weeks ago and it feels like forever. It's nuts. It's nuts. Okay. I'll put it this way. K Ford has Iowa State with a 92% chance to win. Parker has the lowest at Iowa State minus 18. FEI has the highest at 26.4. Beta's got it at 26.8. So that's the range that everybody's got Iowa State winning here. So the question just becomes, does Iowa State cover a 3 touchdown line on the road? Yeah, they do. All right. Iowa State minus 20.5. Douglas?
I am curious if either of you know how this game got scheduled. I have not looked into it. The Utah-Wyoming makes a little more sense regionally, but how did this end up at Arkansas State?
Huge rivalry. What do you mean?
Okay. Answered my question. I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
I see this as it's obviously a letdown moment for both. Arkansas State is coming off the first ever meeting with Arkansas because Arkansas was so scared of its little brother that it was actually being the little brother. And Iowa State's coming off that relatively convincing win against Iowa. So it's a letdown moment for both teams. I think it's a bigger letdown moment for Arkansas State. They wanted to at least play Arkansas tight. They wanted that more than anything else in arguably program history, and that did not happen. I think Arkansas State is ripe to be flat. More flat than you're expecting from a group of 16, more flat than you're expecting from anybody. And in that respect, I'll just take the competence of Matt Campbell and Rocco Becht. Don't have to put together a good game, just be competent against a flat Red Wolves. I'll take that 20 and a hook as well.
You know, it's a good time when you're playing a team that's not very good to practice not allowing a team to score after you do, especially when you're going to score a lot of points.
I've heard this. I have heard this.
Chase, what would you like here, sir?
Yeah, I mean, look, here's our once a week reminder that you should keep this game far away from my actual in real life bankroll. I want nothing to do with any of this. I'm going to join you guys with the minus 20.5 so we can stamp it right now.
Consensus.
Arkansas State 2-11 against the spread. Actually, I think that's a straight up number. 2-11 against the Big 12, 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. I just don't think, like, if you're making me bet this, I think this should probably be closer to 24. So I'll lay the points.
Perhaps Butch Jones' time in Jonesboro will be maybe coming to an end soon.
One of my preseason notes was Butch Jones is still here.
Yeah, apparently he is. Speaking of still here, will be us right after this break.
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
All right.
What a pro.
P4 on the road at G6. Always fun. Now, look, I know Texas Tech fans are going to hear this game and have some weird PTSD, but this is not your grandfather's Wyoming. Utah going on the road to Wyoming Saturday, 7 o'clock. I hope you have CBS Sports Network because that's how you're going to have to watch this one. Ooh, yeah, it's another one of those games where I'm like, man, I really want to be excited about this one, like because it's it's a road game at Wyoming again. That was a thing for a while where P4 teams should not go to Wyoming. It's dumb for them to do so because you're walking into a trap. I don't think it is anymore. That's why Utah is a 23.5 point favorite on the road. Total at 48.5 in this one. Douglas, you're up first, sir. What would you like here?
I don't have to overthink this. The transitive property can be tricky, but there are some absolutes. And one of those absolutes is if you can score only 10 points on Akron, you're bad. And we're not properly appreciating that. That logic alone says Utah covers this 23.5. It's not complicated, folks. If you can just, again, be competent. You don't have to do a lot to run this up and win 35-3. Give me Utah 23.5. I'm not going to worry about it for a moment. I was happy to get 23.5 at the start of the week because I fully expect and still expect this to end 24.5 because it's just not. Wyoming's bad, and it's sad to see because it was fun when Laramie was this death trap for everybody. It was a blast. It's not the case these days.
Chase?
I had the exact same handicap as Douglas about 48 hours ago when I was first putting my notes together. And then I heard our boy Tyler Shoemaker on VSiN yesterday talking about the game a little bit and how he has one of his favorite plays of the week based on his numbers is the under in this game rather than laying the points. So I'm gonna tail Tyler here, and I am gonna take under. Best number I see is 48.5.
Yep, it is 40.5 because I'm coming along with you there and taking the under this game. To your point, Douglas, I don't think Wyoming will score much. I know that Utah can score. The offense it's humming. The defense is playing well. This is your last game before Big 12 play starts next week against Texas Tech. I think the point of this game is get up early and then just hold Wyoming and go home. Like, I know they could do a lot of stuff and have a lot of fun. If I'm Utah, we got Big 12 play opening next week against Texas Tech in a game in which Big Noon's coming for a 10 a.m. local time kickoff, much to the chagrin of Utah fans. So I will ride with the under as well. All right. And by the way, Tishu does have in his numbers Utah covering with the projected 24.5. Shout out Tyler Shoemaker, friend of the pod. And
Chase had me a little worried there when he started saying he was listening to Tyler on VSiN. Like, I don't really love the idea of Tyler going against me here. No, we can all win with that under and Utah covering. We can all be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler will be on the show later this season. Last Big 12 game of the weekend. Your night game, 9:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff on TNT, True TV, HBO Max on Saturday. Arizona State hosting Texas State. Again, like there's these games where I'm like, man, like this was a really interesting one last year. I don't know if it'll live up to last year's expectation. Maybe, maybe not. At the moment, Arizona State, that number is not real. Anywhere from a 15 to a 16.5 point favorite. Man, the numbers on this are all over the place. I'm going to refresh this real quick because something feels off about that. I mean, there's a 14.5. I'm like, that can't be real. That's still there. All right, anywhere from 15 to 16.5.
Steam, baby.
We'll see about that. Total 59.5 to 60.5 on this one. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Chase, who went first last time?
Douglas.
Chase, you're up.
I like Texas State here, and it's a similar handicap to my Kansas State Arizona game. At a certain point, you have to set aside your priors on Arizona State as a conference champion from last year and as a futures favorite and a futures target this year, and say they haven't quite looked as crisp as 2024, and maybe they can get there again. I'm not, buying out of any futures positions I already have on Arizona State, but they didn't look as good last week in Starkville. I didn't think. I mean, I watched a lot of their week 1 game. I didn't think they looked right then. I just don't think this is a team that should be laying 3 scores against a pretty competent Texas State team. So I'm going to take the points with Texas State, and I will probably, depending on price point, I might have a little money line exposure here as well, just because I think I think the tails are long.
That being Texas State, potential future Oklahoma State head coach G.J. Kinney, right? That being
he's on your radar,
in that direction.
He's in my top 3. He's in my top 3 candidates.
Wait. Has Gundy done something that you think is going to get him fired?
Yeah.
You mean
what happened, Phillip?
The worst loss in program history in more than 100 years? No, that's not.
Hey, what was the Power 4 game before that? Was that not also, up to that point, the worst loss in program history?
No. The worst loss goes back to like 1907. But yeah, the Colorado game, not great. It's not been a great run. Last few years. Not been a great run. Arizona State is currently tied for 128th in penalties per game. They are at 20 penalties per game, which is 10 penalties per game, 20 on the season, which is 1 behind Utah State, who has 11 per game. That's not awesome. Oh, I wonder about penalty yards per game. Not great either. Not especially great either. This is an Arizona State team who just feels undisciplined. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what the problem is. 114th in yards per game at 71 yards per game. So they're giving their opponents essentially 71 yards every single game. Not awesome. I'm with you here, Chase, on there's things about this team that I like. I still really like Sam Levitt. I don't think he's been the problem. Jordan Tyson still feels like the best or top 3 receiver in the Big 12. But there's so many other things about this team that just feel like kind of what I feared would be a letdown after last year. And so I really like the Texas State plus 16.5 because we have 16.5 available. I'm also real tempted by the under here. But I'm going to ride with you, Chase. I'm going to take Texas State. It worked last week when we rode with Mississippi State as a dog. The fact that we get Texas State by more than 2 touchdowns, I don't think Arizona State loses this game, but the notion that they're just going to comfortably beat Texas State because they're going to have some bounce back, I just don't know. I don't know that I buy that. Douglas.
Do you have that stamp handy? Faith in G.J. Kinney to keep this close enough. Give me that plus 16.5. Whatever's going on at Arizona State, I don't think they're going to be focused enough against Texas State to fix it. I'm not out on them on the year, but they're not looking at Texas State thinking this is the week we get right. I think they need to get into conference play and rise to an opponent then. They're going to sink to Texas State's level here.
I like that a lot. Okay. That wraps up the Big 12 plays for this week. So we move on to our non-Big 12 pick. Each week we pick one game. Anyone can pick whatever game they want. Any pick is fine. I believe I am first. I've got 2 games I'm going back and forth on.
You can pick both. Don't be a coward.
Well, no, we did that in week 1. And I followed Chase's lead, and I learned that lesson. So won't make that mistake again. I'm torn between, like I said, two games. 2 games between power. Well, one team is between power conference teams, one's not. I'm torn between Tulane -1.5 versus Duke. Well, there's a -1, so that's pretty good.
There's a +1.5.
There is. So here's the thing. I say minus. I'm actually more interested in Duke side of that at the +1.5 than I am the Tulane. And
there's also a Duke +1.5.
That's perfect. I'm also really interested in Georgia -3.5 against Tennessee. You're down. Tennessee's down to their 3rd string quarterback. Like, I know this game is at home, and I just really. Like, it's only 3.5. Okay, sure. But here's the thing for Duke and Tulane, and I think I want to ride with Duke in this one. Tulane has 32 third downs so far this season. They're 119th nationally in offensive explosiveness, and they have benefited from turnovers. Like, everyone likes Tulane. They're a darling. They beat an FBS P4 team in Northwestern. P4 by conference affiliation. I wouldn't call that a P4 team at this point. Struggled mightily with South Alabama last week. They are another heavily penalized team. Duke outplayed Illinois last week and lost by a lot because of turnovers. Can Duke avoid the turnovers this week? I can't see a team having back-to-back weeks with 5 turnovers. If that's the case, and I think Duke's defense can cause some havoc in this game for Tulane, I think Duke can win this game flat out. And I think Duke probably will win this game flat out, even on their own. So I'm riding with Duke as the dog here. And because I get them at 1.5, I'll take them at Duke 1.5 because I think they're going to win this game. I'll take Duke +1.5.
What do you think Tulane has against nerds?
I don't know.
Northwestern and Duke. I mean, that's a track record.
Tulane's a
We
pretty
want to
good
play.
school.
Yeah. Hey, look, they've got Ole Miss coming up too. So, it's not just nerds. It's also
there you go. Yeah. There you go.
smart people and
Yeah.
Ole Miss. Douglas, you're next, sir. What would you like?
Well, you made the right pick in the terms of content, because I'm going to sit here and talk to you about Josh Heupel's struggles against Kirby Smart. They've now met 4 times. How many times has Tennessee covered the spread? 0. How many times has Tennessee exceeded its team total? 0. They've fallen short of the spread by 8.6 points in those 4 matchups. They've never scored more than 17 points in those matchups. Take out 1 garbage time touchdown, Tennessee falls short of its team total by an average of 10 points per game in those 4 matchups. This gets worse. Tennessee, its offense is designed on simple pass routes that spread the defense out, and then you can run through them. Kirby Smart doesn't care. He puts his defensive backs out on an island knowing he's got defensive backs that can handle it. Let's see here. 2022, Tennessee's passing game lost 0.24 expected points per dropback. Had a 44% success rate. I'm going to come back to this. 39 dropbacks total. 2023, negative 0.28 expected points per dropback. 43% success rate. Now, for those who don't know, 44% success rate, 43% success rate, that's decent. That's okay enough. 30 dropbacks in 2023. 2024, negative 0.18 expected points per dropback, 41% success rate on 37 dropbacks. Why do I keep mentioning how many dropbacks? Let's see here. That totals out to 116 dropbacks. Tennessee had exactly 3 explosive plays in those explosive passes in those 3 games. 1 per game. Georgia knows its system works. They're not going to get the deep ball. Give me the Tennessee team total under 22.5. Tennessee's not going to clear 17 this time because they haven't cleared 17 under Josh Heupel against Kirby Smart.
Last 4 losses, Tennessee to Georgia by an average of 31 points.
Covering the spread by more than a touchdown across 4 games is a pretty damning statement of what you're trying to do against Georgia's defense.
Why is Georgia only a 3.5 point favorite? Tennessee's on their
because Gunnar Stockton's a huge step backward from Carson Beck. Gunnar Stockton is
That's
bad.
fine. Tennessee's on their
And it's
third
week
string
3.
quarterback.
So a lot of times the point spreads with the big, powerful programs, they snowball. It's week 3. If this was week 8, this would maybe be 6.5.
Okay. Chase, what's your pick this week?
Yeah, I'm the dumpster diver of the group here. I usually like to go find the trash, but I am right there in the primetime games with you guys this week. I really like a play, and if I'm going to a primetime game, I like a play. Okay, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Here's what I got for you. Texas A&M allows 4.1 yards per rush through 2 weeks. That ranks 80th in FBS. Let's go advanced. Texas A&M rush defense plus 0.09 EPA per rush allowed. Now, most times when you're looking at EPA stats for a defense, the number is negative because it's measured from the perspective of the opposing offense. So for Texas A&M's rush defense to be plus 0.09 EPA per rush allowed, that's pretty bad. And in fact, it ranks 111th in FBS. And oh, by the way, Texas A&M opponents, their starting field position plus 47-yard line. Average starting field position is beyond the 50. That is 136th or dead last in FBS. Who have they played so far that have racked up such massive offense that makes Texas A&M rank so poorly? Who have their opponents been? That would be
some FCS team and
East Texas
UTSA, UTSA and Utah State,
Utah
I
State
believe.
I thought they played East Texas A&M or something or other.
No, that was Florida State.
Oh, okay.
East Texas A&M used to be Texas A&M Commerce, by the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think when they play a competent run game with a good offensive line and some good jumbo packages, I think they're going to get worked like a speed bag. And that is exactly what Notre Dame is. I think Notre Dame's going to kill them this Saturday. By the way, Notre Dame had a bye last week after that Miami loss to get ready for this game. So -7, I'm not afraid of it in a game like this.
Oh, sir, I have 6.5s. I have 6.5s for you.
That's crazy. I can't believe that's crazy that it's at 6.5. Yeah, give me that.
Think about it this way. Yes, A&M scored 42 against UTSA and 44 against Utah State. They also gave up 24 to UTSA and 22 to Utah State.
Also, just to clean up from earlier, because I left some meat on the bone, Iowa State, Arkansas State, we talked about that game. Iowa State is actually 8-1 against the number their last 9 games immediately after the Iowa game.
Really?
After Cyhawk, they are money.
Huh.
It's that's a good one. All right, one last game I wanted to ask you guys about because I had it on as my third option consideration. I really like Cal plus 2.5 versus Minnesota. Thoughts on there? No.
I defer to Douglas. He's the Minnesota guy.
Okay.
Minnesota has a very complete team except for its offensive line. Against anybody who can't get through that, who doesn't have a worrying defensive line, I'm going to sail with Minnesota this season. It's going to be a problem in some Big Ten games. Very obviously. I don't think Cal is that problem. Getting Minnesota this short, people are thinking too much about what time it is. Darius Taylor's fine. There were some headlines that he might not play. He's going to be fine. He's one of those kind of players. He's always going to get on the field. I really like Minnesota at 2.5 here. I'm taking Minnesota probably up to 3.5.
All right. And we got 2 consensus picks this week. Let's see if they are the consensus curse is back, or if maybe it's finally gone after last week with Andrew. So Douglas, as always, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Do me a favor, plug it all, bud.
God, plug it all. Covers.com, D_Farmer on Twitter, Douglas Farmer on Blue Sky, and the Wednesday live show at 1 Eastern, the Saturday live show at 10 Eastern. But for the most part, I'm just glad to be here, and I look forward to telling Andrew Cayley that I outdid his dismal 5-8 showing last week. I'm hoping I put together, let's see here, I think we picked 7 games. Put all that together a 5-2 so that future guests have something to strive for. I'm not saying I'm going to shoot the moon. Goodness, no. But let those know that there's got to be a high water mark of some regard.
All right, let's see. Last year, you went 5-4.
Hey, that's making money.
Visit. So,
we said,
that is a winning
Cy Young
week.
lost 315 games.
it's hard to be forced to pick games for one conference. No one just does that. So look, winning weeks are winning weeks. Everybody, we will have Chase's picks for this week in the show notes as well. Don't forget to sign up for Battle Bets. Download the app, join our league, start your own, have a lot of fun with it. Don't forget 1012network.com. Get your team previews from every show in the network. Y'all, enjoy the games this weekend. I know that we will, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.